round two.
Oh yeah.
Are you gonna do some vocal stretches? Very good, very good. Get that mouth stretch out because we're ready to go. It's time. It's time to go live. All right. Here we go. Here we go. It's round two. Hello, I'm Matt.
And I'm Luke.
And welcome to the People's Champions International. And thank you for viewing our podcast and our YouTube channel at People's Champion International. We can be reached directly via comments or email at peopleschambioninternational@gmail.com. So, Luke, we made it through round one last week, and I got to tell you, speaking for myself, I was pretty nervous. But hey, we're growing, we're learning, we're making adjustments and changing. That's what life's about. That's what being human's about. And that's what People's Champion International is all about. And so it's great to be here for round two. Excited about our lineup today. And just was kind of curious if you had any comments about round one from last week.
No, I mean, I think it was fun. It was definitely, I would agree, rough around the edges for us. As you'd expect, it'll likely continue to be that way for a while. And we're working on learning and growing. And, you know, neither one of us had ever recorded a single podcast, ever uploaded anything to YouTube. And so I think we can expect it to be rough, but we're having fun and learning. But at the same time, we're discussing a topic that I think we both believe is critically important for people to pay attention to and engage in at the same time.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for sharing those thoughts. Appreciate it. And just moving into round two today, you know, we're going to focus a bit on complacency, which we'll get into more in just a moment. But first, we want to talk about what's brought us to Industry 4.0. And so Luke's going to take a moment and talk about Industry 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0 and give us a little backstory. So, Luke, why don't you take us away?
Yeah. You know I said last week that we're going to be much more kind of off the cuff and conversational. And after we wrapped, I was kind of just thinking, it weighed on me a little bit that, just how dangerous Industry 4.0 has the potential to be. And I was concerned, like, what if people don't really take it seriously enough? Like, what if they're like, well, it's the fourth industrial revolution and we made it through the first three, so it'll all work out. What are we worried about? And basically settling into that complacent mindset that you mentioned. So I did feel like it was important for us to take maybe one step back and just really highlight the clear and concerning differences between the first three industrial revolutions and the fourth. And then also how many of those concerns that people had during the first three industrial revolutions actually turned out to be right. And if that's the case here, then that's very concerning. So I think it's wise that we pay attention. It's wise to be informed, and taking action is critical. So with that said, just a quick recap of the first three industrial revolutions. The first one, was transforming things from more of a craft-based economy to larger scale manufacturing. So, it involved the steam engine, the growth of factories. The time people were concerned about, were they being replaced? As was a fair concern. The rise of poor working conditions. What would the impact be on the rural communities? And as people needed to move to the cities and congregate to the urban centers and factories for work. And those all turned out to be valid concerns. The second industrial revolution, that brought about advancements in transportation, communication, and electrical power. And, a lot of good stuff, right? I really appreciate electricity. I'm sure you do too. I love being able to drive where I need to drive. I love being able to fly for vacation and not, taking a horse and buggy across the United States. So I'm happy that we advanced. So certainly not against it all, but at the same time, people were worried about increased urbanization, congregated areas of poverty, large cities essentially running the country, labor exploitation, monopolies, all these things that are leading into issues like income inequality. And here we are 100 years later, and we're still fighting those battles. And so they were real concerns despite the progress. The third industrial revolution was where we saw the rise of technology, computers, information technology, electronics, automated transfer of a number of industries, and social media took off. So a lot changed very quick. And the same thing there, concerns about, is my job going to be replaced by, electronics or technology? And there were data privacy issues that were concerning. All that was very real. There were jobs lost. So that's a bit of the history to sum it up. And basically, people were concerned. They were right to be concerned in many ways, because a lot of that's turned out to be true. Good things obviously came from it. And so that's what we're hoping for Industry 4.0 as well. But if some of the concerns with Industry 4.0 are true, then that's far more catastrophic than what those concerns were with the first three. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to people's attention.
Yeah, Luke, thank you for that. I mean, that's a fantastic perspective and backstory. And we have made it through, to your point, we've seen a lot of advances, things that we're very thankful for, and that have changed our lives and we utilize every day, which is fantastic. And we've made it through these prior industrial revolutions. And so people may be complacent thinking, hey, we've made it through these prior three. We're going to make it through the fourth one just fine. And that may be accurate, but there's also some concern. And we don't want to be complacent about that. We have to ask the why. Why and how could this be different? And, during round one, we clearly talked about how we're not against AI if it's used for good and, for the whole of society. But as far as that why and how this could be different for Industry 4.0 and artificial intelligence, we came up with three whys that we want to highlight today. The first one is transparency, and that's the truth. Okay, AI is artificial intelligence. So behind the scenes, humans are doing the programming. Well, where are they getting their information from? And why is it that when you tap into various AI systems, you get different responses? And
Right.
and what are their motives and what are their agendas? That's got to be looked at. And so we got to observe this and hold those organizations accountable. Why number two is livelihood. That's all about income, making a living, a sense of purpose, providing for yourself or your family, or having nice things in life. And hopefully that's something that is important to all of us, so we do need to keep tabs on this. And the third why is governance. Now, I did not say government, I said governance. So that is all about control. Okay, and that includes people, businesses, and government control. We know where that's out today with social media or your places of work, and and how we can be tracked and all that jazz. So it's like it's out there now. Where's it going to go, and is it going to end? No, it's most likely going to get tighter. Okay,
it's going to be accelerated.
We can't be complacent about it. We have to observe this. We got to point it out. So, Luke, what I want to do real quick is transition to talking about this a little bit. Share some stories or articles, things that we've been reading, what we're hearing out there, and what others have probably been hearing too. And so, once again, we just want people to be aware, and we don't want to be complacent. That's what this round is all about. So, Luke, why don't you share a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think a couple things that came to mind as we were talking, but one goes along with point number two you made above, which is livelihood and making an income. And I think people were concerned in the first three industrial revolutions, like, oh, is my job going to be replaced? And they were very segment specific, like, well, I'm in manufacturing, and they were able to pivot because not only one, they took so much time to transition and build these things, but two, there were so many other industries that they could pivot to if they needed to. And the next one was transportation, and they saw the same thing. Okay, so as each phase, comes forward, they transition to new industries. Industry 4.0 is all encompassing. AI, there is not a single industry on the planet that doesn't touch. And if you think I'm exaggerating, this is where the one example I wanted to bring up. There's a gentleman on Instagram. He's at RP Nixon. I want to make sure to cite him appropriately, and we'll put him in the link. But he had a video that I watched this week that just blew my mind. It was one industry you'd think might be untouchable with AI is actors or A-list celebrities or supermodel, because you're literally your only job is to be human being. Like criteria one, you're a human. Criteria two, you're either attractive if that's what they're looking for, or a good actor, whatever. Well, he had shared that supermodels are being replaced by AI, and was showing these examples of how these AI supermodels, people could almost not tell the difference between them and humans. They had more followers than real supermodels, and we're actually getting the brand endorsements and the paychecks from these companies to endorse their brand instead of real supermodels. So it's like, okay, if that can happen, where does it end? I mean,
where's the money going? How do people feel about that?
Well, yeah, I mean,
questions. So,
well, no, you're right, but companies only have a certain allocation of marketing dollars to say, hey, we want to sponsor this athlete or this supermodel or this. If it's going to an AI instead of a human, then jobs are being replaced, right? And so the one other example I thought of it was from another podcast, but it was a guy was on there that had a nickname of Pharma Bro from years ago. He was the CEO of a pharma company that bought a company that bought him AIDS medication, raised it by 5,000%, and everybody went nuts. He ended up going to jail for, I don't think it was related to that, but long story short, he's out, and he's all in on AI. That's what he was talking about. And so he's a very intelligent guy. And basically, he made the comment that he wants to take over the world. Somebody said, "Hey, what's your goal, to take over the world?" And he said, "Yes, exactly." He referenced how there's people like Elon Musk and other people that are trying to slow down the rate at which AI is accelerating, because it could literally end civilization. And he said himself, along with another group of splinter cell agents, or he even said the word terrorists, are basically working hard to accelerate AI and take down the world. So there's very smart people working to use this for ways that probably aren't in our best interests.
Yeah, that's amazing. Great observations, and we're sure there's good that will come from it, but these are some of the concerns, and how there are people out there, organizations out there, that are utilizing these technologies against people. And that's not what we want to see. We want to hold them accountable. We don't want organizations or leaders taking revenge out on people groups, nations. We don't want that to happen. I'm sure you don't either.
No.
So I just want to add to that a couple of articles or observations I've had over the past week that I read about. I'm going to focus on the medical and pharmaceutical industry myself a little bit. The two examples I have is a lot of health systems use like a MyChart system, so you can communicate with your doctor or PA or a nurse, maybe about side effects that you're having or how you're feeling, different things like that. And think about this for a moment, based on this article and where things go with AI. When you're typing that information in on how you're feeling or what your side effects are, do you want a real person evaluating that, or do you want AI responding to you? Because AI is going to be using the database, and it's just going to kind of cover its basis as far as I'm concerned. Whereas a human being, a human person with professional credentials, they can input human reasoning into their response, and they know you as an individual, where AI is not going to know that. So, how do you feel? Do you want accurate information for you, or do you want general information for everybody?
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because when if I've ever Googled anything, it's like everything's cancer. You know what I mean? And so if you've got a database, then that's going to pop up. Everybody's going to freak out. So you want that human reasoning. It's like, hey, that's really, really unlikely. So that's a good example for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. And the other one that that I want to hone in on is the pharmaceutical industry. In fact, I was talking to a pharma rep the other day about a certain medication, and I was asking about the side effects. And I even told this individual, I said, "Hey, I don't want to hear what you're trained on or what the documentation or the research is showing for the side effects. I want to hear what you're hearing from doctors and patients out there when you're doing your rounds, because I want to know what's going on in the real world." And that's the type of feedback that AI can't do. That's where humans are the foundation, and we have that human reasoning response, because that is the answer, and that's the information I'm looking for. Hopefully, folks out there, people out there, this is making sense what we're observing, why we don't want to be complacent. And Lucas, maybe you had a comment there?
Well, no, yeah. If you're replaced by data, I mean, they say they replace that pharmaceutical rep, and then they just stick with what's on the label, then you're never going to hear what's actually happening. You're going to hear what happened in those 3 months that they did the trial, or the 6 months, and that's it. It's going to be much harder without people communicating to really find out the truth. So that goes back to your transparency.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. No, exactly right on there. So I don't think we have any other comments. Are we ready to bring in round two for a landing?
Yeah, let's bring it home.
All right. So people, once again, we have so much to talk about, and the media will not and cannot cover it all. And so we need you, people, not AI, to stand with us no matter where you're from, whether it's the United States or international, to contribute and promote our cause. And so we want to hear your stories. We need your stories about how people, businesses, or governments are utilizing Industry 4.0 technologies and or AI, for the good of humanity and for the whole of society. Or in an adversarial way, so that once again, we can bring attention to it and hold them accountable.
Absolutely. I agree. And please feel free to contact us at peopleschampionsinterntional@gmail.com. We would really love for you to like and subscribe. As you know, that's very important for any YouTube channel. And then you can reach out to us on the comments below. We would love to hear your comments, good or bad.
Yes.
AI being used for positive, AI being used for negative, just anything that you have to share.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you're interested in being a guest, just reach out to us. We need your name, the story at a high level, and or your credentials, and we'll vet that to make sure it's content that we want to promote. And with that, until round 3, thank you for viewing and subscribing. So be well.
Be well, everybody.